Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about why Generation X is so mentally tough. I was thinking about this stuff a couple days ago. And the first reason I have is a memory that came bubbling up in my mind for some reason. But I was sitting in a driver's ed classroom watching this video. You know, they used to pull out the TV and put a VCR tape in, and we were watching this video of these horrific car crashes. And I took a picture of one of the videos here. It's just a still image, but it might spark some recognition in your minds. But yeah, we used to have to sit there in driver's ed class and watch these horrific car crashes and see these victims being pulled out of these demolished cars, blood and viscera splattered all over the place. And I just, I'm sitting there watching it and I'm thinking, what the hell? Where are the paramedics? While this guy's just filming these people. I guess the cops are in the back holding the paramedics back while they get the footage, whatever it is. But yeah, we used to have to sit there and watch this shit in order to, I guess, to make us want to be safe. And it did not work at all. My first car was a 76 Ford Mustang. And it was fast. I had a 302 in it, and I did some dumb shit in that car. But it was a cool ass car. But anyway, I remember sitting there in that classroom and watching that thing. And now I think about kids today, if they were forced to do that, these soft kids, this soft generation of kids growing up now. I mean, they'd all be vomiting up their ADHD medication and having to go to their counselor and talk about it and shit. You know what I'm saying? There's no way. They just couldn't mentally handle those images of real people, and I'm glad that we actually went through that kind of stuff. Yeah, where that it toughened us up. We survived. It wasn't like it was traumatizing. That it would be now. They call it trauma, right? I act this way because of my trauma, because I had to sit through these films in driver's ed class or whatever. Yeah, they're just ridiculous. Everything's blamed on trauma and all this stuff now. But back then, that's just the way it was. That was just normal for us. That was driver's ed. That was part of the getting your driver's license. And the other thing that I thought about was those Faces of Death movies. Remember these? And me and my buddies were fascinated with them. They weren't forced upon us. But they weren't, I guess some parents might have kept them from their children, but mine didn't, and none of my buddies' parents cared. So we watched them, and that's actually where I learned what drawn and quartered means from those movies, because I liked, fantasy fiction and stuff, King Arthur days and all that. I still do. But, and I'd watch those movies and stuff, and they talk about being drawn and quartered, or I've heard that term before, but I didn't know what it actually meant until they showed it in the Faces of Death. They tie a rope to, an arm, each of your arms and legs, to 4 horses, and then they pull you apart. That's what that is for those of you who aren't sure what that means. But yeah, that's how I learned what drawn and quartered meant, was by actually watching it happen to someone on Faces of Death. And the one that sticks in my mind the most, the scene that really sticks in my head, is the one where they ate the monkey brains, where they brought in a monkey and they put him in the table, and the table separated and there was a hole in it, and when they pushed the tabletop back together, it closed around the monkey's neck, and then they beat his head open and ate his brains right out of his head. That shit was insane. That was insane. That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I mean, ever seen in my life was on that Faces of Death, that scene right there. And that I can still see that scene in my head. And they had another one. They had we know they had a bunch of them, but another one that sticks in my head was this lady that got killed by a big old leech. She was swimming in a lake or something, and the lake was polluted with some kind of toxic shit. Some factory was dumping shit in the lake, and there was this leech, like, I don't know, the size of a rat. It was hooked to her leg or something, that it killed her. But yeah, so the Faces of Death made us pretty tough too, you know. I mean, between just driver's education and the Faces of Death, we saw some pretty horrific shit by the time we were just old enough to drive, you know. Almost none of these kids nowadays would ever, have ever even seen anything close. Even though they have the internet and all that, it's all fake. It's just fake blood. We watched real shit. Yeah, they couldn't fake it back then. You saw it on video like that. That shit was real back then. Kids see all kinds of stuff now, people being blown apart, but it's all fake, and they know it's fake, There's a big difference there. And the other thing I'd say would be those movies like, what they call First Strike, those post-apocalyptic movies, or those nuclear war movies. First Strike, we had Threads. Threads, I think, was the BBC one. That was more of an English thing. But The Day After, over here in America, we had The Day After. And those movies depicted, actual nuclear war, and scared the shit out of everybody with actual nuclear war. I don't know about the rest of you, but I remember the day, I don't know the date, but I remember the day that I realized that I was going to be 30. It was in my early 20s. I realized that I was going to be 30. And I was surprised. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to be 30? I'm actually going to, it never even crossed my mind before. I just thought that the world would end before that, way before that, So here I am, 54. So it kind of feels like I'm almost living on, borrowed time. This is all just extra shit. You know what I'm saying? All these years are just extra, just icing on the cake, because I'm surprised to live to 30. So yeah, but we were just bombarded with during the Cold War. They would try to scare the shit out of us with nuclear war constantly. Russia was the big threat, and they were going to bomb us, and it was going to be World War III, and it was going to be nuclear holocaust and all this. And they had just dozens of post-apocalyptic movies, and that we just kind of came up in that, right? We thought there was going to be an apocalypse. And it kind of sucked when it didn't happen. Now we're into the future. We didn't get our apocalypse, and we didn't get our cool future. We got this weird, weak shit with a bunch of medications, and everybody's just, wearing man buns and shit, or so. I don't know. It's just soft and pathetic, and not cool and hardcore like we thought it was going to be. No cyberpunk shit, just a bunch of keyboard warriors crying, they lash out when they're late taking their medication and shit. So it's just stupid. I'm sorry, but the future's just stupid, and it looks like it's just going to get stupider unless we do get some kind of apocalypse. That would tighten shit up in my opinion anyway. Like I said before, the apocalypse won't set me back too far anyway, not financially. I mean, I'm not going to do much worse than I am now. It's actually pretty impossible to do much worse than I am now. So shit, I'm ready for it still. Geared up and ready to go. Let's go, Trump. Kick it off. Let's see what a more hardcore future looks like, where Road Warrior or something like that. Let's see, something like that. But yeah, we experienced a lot of stuff that was forced on us through the school system or allowed to us by our parents or forced on us through the media, on the news, in the movies, all this stuff. And we just kind of grew up with the threat of annihilation. And it was okay. It was just par for the course. That was just the way it was going to be. We were all going to die and we knew it. So what the hell, you know? And you wonder why we partied so damn hard. Because we didn't think we were gonna, we didn't think that we were going to have any future to worry about. We didn't think, we thought it was going to end any time. But what it did instead of bringing us an apocalypse, it toughened us up. It made us, emotionally tough, mentally tough. It made us physically tough for quite a while. I mean, we're still physically tough. We might not be as able and spry as we used to be, but we're still strong and tough in our fortitude, our mental fortitude. And I'll leave you there with that. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate those of you who do that, so thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mug stickers, all kinds of cool stuff over there. So I'll leave that link down in the description for you for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Things, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.